amazing. I think I've gotten this to work now. So, Michael, let me see if you saw the invitation and we'll see if we can. Oh, yay. Okay, you guys. Instagram, they just like us to do it in the moment, live. Anyway, Michael, it's so good to see you. And just to get us started now, I'm Lynn Thomas. I'm the co-founder of Arenas for Change and also co-founder of Horses for Mental Health. And we are part and supporting a amazing national campaign called the Seen Through Horses campaign, produced by Horses for Mental Health. And thanks to the generous sponsorship of Zoetis Equine, which we really appreciate. The purpose of the campaign is to amplify awareness of the impact horses have on mental health and mental health services and support the programs that are providing these services. And part of this campaign is to create videos that help share the impact that horses have in mental health. And it was so exciting this year. The new video is called Supporting Mental Health in Rural Communities, and it features Gateway Family Services of Illinois, of which Michael Remole here is our guest and is co-founder of. And really excited to talk with you, Michael, about some of the kind of behind the scenes details. It's really focusing on providing these kinds of services in rural communities and about mental health in rural areas in general. So after our beginning, I'm going to go ahead and just turn it over to you, Michael, to introduce yourself and share a little bit about your program.
Okay. Well, good morning. And Lynn, you're doing great. I'm quite impressed with all the technology you've been navigating over the last few weeks with this campaign. So I'm Michael Rimley. I'm with Gateway Family Services, and we are a nonprofit mental health agency located in Potomac, Illinois. You probably have not heard of us because it's a town of about 671 people. Tiny little town on the east side of the state of Illinois, about 2 hours south of Chicago, 2 hours west of Indianapolis. So if that kind of helps you know where we're located. We started in 2014. I moved back to Illinois after getting my master's, and my parents had a nonprofit, a faith-based mental health, or faith-based nonprofit that was providing mentoring services. And I moved back just to kind of help them, and my goal was to kind of stop here and then find a bigger equine program to join. And I had no idea that 10 years later we would have a pretty significant mental health program going on right here. So we have a team of 15 staff members. We have 6 clinicians. We just brought on another full-time person yesterday, so that's pretty exciting. But the interesting part is when we started, I was like, there's no need for this in Potomac. Like, there's no need for the mental health services, and specifically equine assisted psychotherapy in this small area. And wow, I was way wrong. And it's really taken off. So we serve, our youngest client has been 2 and our oldest 94. So we serve people across the age range, and we provide services on site. We also we have a shuttle bus that we've converted into a mini bus, and our minis travel with us to the schools, and we partner with them, getting to do the services in the schools as well. So quite a few things happening here that have just taken place, and I feel like the more people come out here and experience the horses and the connection with the horses, the more their lives are changed, and more we have people who want to get on board with us.
Yeah, I was thinking, okay, a population of 671. And I hear from a lot of programs out there that are in rural areas about maybe some of the struggles because you're so far away from any kind of real population centers, and how can you have a successful business? And it was cool to hear that you've been pleasantly surprised about how much of a need that there actually is, and that people will travel some distances. I actually watched the video again. So for those who haven't seen it yet, this video is a 7-minute video supporting mental health in rural communities, and you can watch it on the @Horses for Mental Health YouTube channel or on horsesformentalhealth.org and the stories page. And I was really actually shocked to hear, watching that video about mental health in rural communities, that Jeff Winton, who's the founder of Rural Minds, who was also featured in this video, mentioned that people living in rural communities have a 64 to 68% higher likelihood to die by suicide than urban areas. And I was really shocked to hear. I mean, I think you sometimes think of there's not a need in a rural community. They live in this nice, peaceful, idyllic settings. People are around horses, and so maybe there's not the need. And I guess you've discovered there is a need. And can you share more about how you've been able to, I guess, people in your community on board with this and to start looking at mental health, because there is that stigma as well.
Yeah, one of the things that I mean, hearing Jeff's statistic, hearing that stat was shocking to me. Living in this area, even knowing what I know about our community, that the need there is still kind of a staggering number to hear. And so one of the things that we've done in trying to help people understand a little bit more about the power of horses is one. This is experiential, and so what we've tried to do is to invite people out here to experience it. And we've been a little bit strategic in doing reaching out to some of our leaders in our community to come out and experience it for themselves. And so the more that we've done that and people have begun to experience just a little bit of that themselves, then they're able to share that and to know what they're talking about. And I think, we have people that when we first started, they're like, oh, I'm going to brush a horse and it's going to fix things. And people just, it's the part that we can't exactly explain. I mean, there's the science behind it, but you have to experience it. And so one of our biggest things, I'd say, just bring people out, let them experience that. But then also it's helped knowing a little bit more of the science behind things from a clinical aspect, that people see that there is so much work that's taking place in a typical setting with a horse. So much good clinical work is taking place, and sometimes we don't even need words because of the horse and what they bring to that session. And so when we're able to help educate people on that and they can experience it and then they know it, like, it's just the full picture. And so that's been huge. I think it is also helpful in just hearing people's stories of what how horses have helped them. And so, people who are willing, like the family in our video, who will share their story, that is huge. People can connect with that story and say, yeah, I've been there, and, give it a chance. And I think another thing that's probably happened for us that a lot of rural areas or equine programs in general have is that we're the last stop before a kid is headed to residential or juvenile detentions. They've tried every form of therapy. We'll give equine therapy a try. And I feel like we're getting to a place where it's not the last stop. People are starting to reach out to us sooner, which is encouraging to me that people are realizing the power of this work. But it's that little bit. It's connecting with people, bringing them out here, letting them experience it, educate them on it, and the combination of the experience and the education, just it's how we've won people. I guess if to break it down, it's how we've won people over to see the work here.
Yeah. Well, and that's super exciting that this is starting to become not the last stop, but the first stop, the first consideration, which is what we're hoping to achieve with the Seen Through Horses campaign, is that people around the world start thinking, oh, I'm having mental health struggles. Maybe I'll look into a program that incorporates horses. And so that's really cool. And of course, the stigma of mental health and being able to start combating that, and that, yeah, the family that was willing to share in the video, it was so powerful. And like you're saying, to reduce stigma by people being willing to talk about mental health, which is another part of both what we're trying to do with Seen Through Our campaign and that I know Rural Minds is looking to do. I think that, do you want to share more about the family and their willingness to share their story? And I mean, I think it's their story is one that so many can actually connect with. I mean, anybody who has children who they can see are starting to turn into themselves and kind of get emotionally distanced because they're struggling, or any relationships in general. It was just, oh my gosh, it's a tearjerker kind of a story. But can you say more about, yeah, this family and their willingness to, and the father especially, to share their story publicly?
Yeah. So when they started out with services with us, working with their daughters, and they were really focused on helping them find healing, and watching their daughters transform was almost, it became contagious for the dad and the mom. Like, oh my word, this is amazing. I I think I need to do my own personal work. And it was after one session in which the family was invited to kind of identify different emotions that dad recognized it's time for me to do my work. And if my daughters are going to get healthier, it's going to require that I do my own work as well to begin my own healing journey. And so it was watching that process with his daughters that he decided to take that step and engage in his own services. And then as they've, as he's done his work and his wife, like their family has all come together, and that they have, I mean, they're like our little ambassadors recruiting other people saying you need to come join it, because they didn't think this was possible. They didn't realize the layers of healing that would take place, because they came with the identified patient, their daughters who were struggling. And through the work, it helped, like he says in the video, it forces you to face the trauma, and it forced them as a family to do that. And it was incredible. It's been incredibly powerful to watch their journey unfold together, and their healing through that connection with the horses.
Yeah, I remembered, yeah, that quote in the film that he said that the horses see through, see the trauma in your soul, and they get you to want. I thought that was so cool. They
Mhm.
get you to want to bring it out. It isn't just like, I mean, you said like they forced it. It's almost like, because yeah, you can't help but that happens.
Right.
But I thought it was cool that he said that you want to, that it feels safe to be able to look at those things that are hard, that maybe culturally, especially in rural areas, you're taught not to share, or taught, you just power through it.
Yeah.
Um, and so I thought that was really beautiful, and the stigma around, well, a lot of rural community members have horses, so they're like, why horses? How are horses going to help me? I'm around horses all the time. I'm still struggling.
Exactly.
um yeah, is there anything about how that awareness of that actually horses do have a different impact when they're in this specific mental health setting versus, yeah, okay, you're around horses all the time?
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest things is, if we think about horses through the relational lens, that is such a huge thing versus, and I'm guilty of this myself, like a task, like I'm going to go ride, I'm going to go brush my horse, and it's more task oriented versus I'm connecting with my horse in that relationship aspect. That has been the language that we've engaged in. And so anything we're doing, we're talking about, and talking about it through that relational lens helps people realize, oh, this relationship is deeper than what I originally thought. There's so much more to this. So how can I even pick a horse's hoof in a way that feels good for me and my horse? How can I saddle my horse in a way that feels connected? And the more we've been able to do that, that I think we've been able to help people see who are horse people, or who, they've been around them a lot, to see the horses in a different light than just a task. And it's been really cool to see those light bulb moments, and when they go, oh wow, if I when I change it this way, this feels better for me, and I notice it feels better for my horse.
Yeah, that's amazing. The paradigm shift of what that can do and how that changes relationships and perspectives. And you guys who are on, if you feel free, if you have any comments, or if you work in a rural area and what you've experienced or questions, feel free to put in the chat. And actually, I'll just kind of, because someone did already mention, Ula mentioned about, love that horse painting behind you.
Yeah.
Uh, do you want to share about that
Yeah.
painting?
Yes. So some of you may follow Tammy, and the last name is leaving me right now.
Tappan, Tammy
Yeah,
Tappan.
yes.
Yeah.
So she's a phenomenal artist, and I'm going to move this right here so you can see it a little bit better. So she had posted that she was her paintings, and I just fell in love with this one. And I reached out and asked, like was purchasing it, but I didn't know the name of it, and so we got it. And then when I opened the box, and on the name of this picture is "To Be Seen." And I just think that that's an incredibly fitting picture for us to have here, because isn't that the goal? Like when our horses feel seen and when our clients feel seen, like what a difference that makes in that connection. And so it's the central part of my office. I built my office around that. And so thank you, Tammy, for creating such an incredible piece of art that is not just beautiful visually, it also speaks to me as well. So you can check out her Facebook. I think she has Instagram as well. She's got some phenomenal art as well.
Yeah, and her is a very distinct look that she
Yeah,
has with that, and of course that maybe that could be like our, I don't know, feature painting for the Scene Through Horses campaign, because how perfect is that?
right.
And the power of feeling seen, and that, it kind of goes back to, yeah, your discussion about that, changing that perspective of horses in any community, rural communities anywhere, and in the equestrian community, from being a task, a work, a tool, to a relationship and a connection, and the power of being, feeling seen and heard, that horses seem to have when you are in connection or in relationship with them. Is there like something you guys do that really supports that relationship focus and element and the work you guys do?
So the biggest thing I would say is in anything we do, we're asking what's the horse's take on this? What was this like for them? And what was it like for you? You know, did that feel good for both of you? And we do a lot of do-overs. Can we try that again? And I'm wondering if we tried it this way, what might happen? And so being able to watch the difference between when I engage with this in more task oriented and really like a little bit more direct versus relational doesn't mean I don't have a request, I can't make requests, but there's just a different approach. And so I think it's engaging in that dialogue and giving opportunities to experience it from the task and from the relationship lens, the focus there. Because we know the relationships are the agents of change. They're so healing, and so that's the part, as we watch those relationships unfold and we engage in that conversation about what's happening for the horse, what's happening for the human. We start to be able to operate with the horse in a different way. I'm thinking of a little kiddo the other day hanging out with my horse Willow. He's a little guy. He's 5, and Willow is a draft cross, so she's like 16'2", probably 1,800 pounds. She's a big girl, and this little five-year-old boy is walking around with Willow, and it was time for him to go, and he opens the gate to let her out, and she stood at the gate with the gate wide open with her nose to him, because she was so connected and felt so safe, and there was a relationship there. This wasn't a kid that just rode and had his task like checklist, got it done. They connected, and we saw a difference in her, and we saw a difference in him, and he just beamed, and his dad was there and was just like, this is amazing to watch this take place. And so just in those moments of relational connection, when people experience it and you see the difference between human and horse, you're like, that's it. And that's why we do this work.
Well, that's beautiful. And that, yeah, I mean, that is kind of like what was displayed in the video as well. Just, I love the story in there about the girl that really, the child she really healed through that horse Kitty. And then for anybody, that's where you get the Kleenex out too. The video goes into the story of Kitty and how Kitty ended up passing, and and they had just had a loss themselves with their grandfather, that the girl did not get to say goodbye to her grandfather, and yet you guys had the opportunity for her to be able to connect with this relationship she had developed and to be able to go through that loss. And I just think though, yeah, those opportunities. Is there any more you want to share about that
Ooh,
story?
you could just bring it up. It stirs some emotion, because I don't know that I've seen anything quite so powerful, because so this, think about, there were several people, tons of people that didn't get to say goodbye to loved ones because of, during COVID, during the pandemic, and this was one of those. And so we had 2 clients that were friends with Kitty. They had picked her as their relationship horse, and both of them got to say goodbye. Um, and they got that closure and that bit of getting to thank her for what that relationship meant to them. And I just remember watching Kitty and the little girl walk around the arena for that last little bit, and there was laughter, there was tears, there was hugs. There was just a beautiful bit of saying, thank you, friend, for carrying me through a hard time, and it was just incredibly. It was heartbreaking and also so beautiful at the same time. Um, and uh and it was like Kitty. I mean, she was down. We know how hard it is to get a horse up once they're down, and we're like, your friend is coming in just a couple minutes. You've got to get up. And she got up just a few minutes before that little girl walked in the arena, just like she knew, oh, my friend is here. I got to connect with her one last time. And it was amazing.
Yeah, it's those opportunities in the work that we do with the horses that you just really can't get anywhere else, in any kind of other setting.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I thank you guys for everybody who works in a rural area. If you want to share anything, your struggles or your challenges or benefits, or I mean, Michael, do you say there's a benefit that you found by being in a rural community, not just the challenges, but has there been a benefit
Mm.
to having a program to building your organization with horses there?
It's been interesting to kind of navigate that. I think sometimes I forget that we're in a rural area, and like this is just kind of the way of life. But there's the power of having something different than in this community than your traditional talk therapy approaches. And right now we have people who travel up to 2 hours to come to us one way for services. Yeah. And so, right now we have our Fall In Friday taking place, and we have veterans that, 90 minutes at least, come every Friday to come hang out with us because of that powerful connection. And so I think the benefit of there's not really anything else like that here. And so it's a unique thing. But it's just, I don't know, gives people an opportunity to interact with horses in a different way, even if they're not with our horses. When they go to somebody else's, they're like, oh, I was able to do this with the horse, and it was different because of what we learned here. So I think it gives people a different perspective as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, do you have any other thoughts or things you'd like to share about what you guys are doing at Gateway Family Services of Illinois? And
Yeah. So we have been doing a lot of different things and trying to look at, over the last 10 years, what are the things that we needed and wanted and stuff. And so I'd kind of shared with you a little bit about the role of reflective supervision and kind of what that, looks like. Because I know when I started the practice, it was just me, and I didn't know who to reach out to, and kind of felt isolated. So then I didn't know how to process what was taking place in sessions. I didn't know regular supervision didn't feel the same, and so it was different. And so we've been engaging in reflective supervision and not offering that as for other providers that are in the field to say, hey, what do we bring to the interaction in session? We know that. What does the client bring? What does our animal bring to this as well? And how do we sit with that to honor the relationships that we have and what we bring, and how do we constantly do our own work so we can be fully present, our animals are enjoying this more, that they're an active part of this, and that our clients are getting a lot out of it. So that's been a big thing that we've been working on here, is just the role of reflective supervision and just reflection in general, and how that impacts our practice. There's stuff out there that talks about the how this impacts, how it prevents burnout, job satisfaction, all those things and overall enjoyment. I think those are the things that reflection brings, and then it allows us to be fully real, like to be real in session. The horses don't know which one of us is the client, so it helps us to do our own work in that. So that's been a big piece. And then we're super excited. We're hosting our very first Mustang Summit. And that will be in a couple weeks. And so we're bringing in 4 untouched yearling Mustangs and going to be doing the gentling process in hopes to get them adopted. So that's happening. And then we have a veteran retreat coming as well. So just a lot of different things that are taking place, because the more we've done this work, the more we realize we see the needs, and then figuring out how do we as an agency begin to address and meet those needs.
oh yeah, that's amazing, and it keeps getting the word out there. And just to share, so the Equus Film and Arts Fest puts on a film festival, and the Mustang Summit that they're doing in partnership with you, and that's been amazing. And they show different videos, including the videos they graciously share from the Seen Through Horses campaign. And then, yeah, the Mustang Summit is really powerful to see, again, different ways people might connect and build relationships with brand new, untouched horses, wild horses.
Yes.
And then, yeah, the reflection supervision, I'm really excited to hear about that and what you're looking to create a community like that. Because, again, especially in rural areas, and like you said, even if we're not in rural areas, those of us who do this work can sometimes feel very isolated. And this idea of, the need to always learn and be inspired and look at ourselves. I love what you just shared, that the horses don't know who the client is. And really, we're all participating in an experience together.
Right.
That's what's happening in these sessions. And our stories, as we talk about in Arch, our stories are impacting their stories. Their stories are impacting our stories. We all come with individual stories. It makes group story. It's like so much going on. And this concept of reflection supervision. So this is something that you are providing as a service now for professionals. How can people find out more about it, and how does it get to be involved with that?
Yeah, we have our first. It's a free group on Tuesday night, 6:30 Central Time, and you can go to our website gatewayfamilyservices.org, and there's also a link, I believe, in our on our Instagram page. How if not, I'll make sure it's there later today. But to join us and just to see what reflection is all about and how we engage in that process, and then people can engage in that like as a group. They can engage in it individually. And just it's been transformative for me in my practice, my own personal journey, and so we want to invite other people into that space because I see how it impacts myself outside of session. I'm enjoying my job, and I think the burnout piece. I've burnt out before, and so we're all working hard in this field. So I want to, if we can do things to help preserve those that are in the field, keep them working in the field. I think this would be a great way to do that. So people are more than welcome to join individually, group, and be a part of that. May 21st, Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. We'll do a Zoom call and kind of set the stage for what to expect.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, really appreciate all you're doing to spread awareness, support, connection with one another as professionals. And so you guys, welcome everybody who's been joining us throughout this. It's so good to see you guys. And I think we'll start wrapping up, but I just wanted to share too, Gateway Family Services of Illinois is one of the charity partners for the Seen Through Horses campaign. And yeah, thanks, Christy. So very proud of Michael and the people surrounding him. Thank you with Gateway Family Services. Really appreciate that. And the Seen Through Horses campaign is going throughout the month of May. And it's spreading awareness by sharing these videos. Share, like. It actually makes a difference to do the like and the comment on these kinds of posts and stuff. And of course, the video is so powerful. I think it's something people will definitely want to share, especially in rural communities, to really get a better understanding that this is different and it does make an impact. And then it's also fundraising. So you can choose one of the 80 charity partners that are in 36 states in Canada and support one of them. Even a small donation, every little bit helps all these wonderful organizations provide the services they're providing. So really appreciate you guys supporting the campaign and your interest in learning more about the latest video, the Power Forces Supporting Mental Health in Rural Communities. Michael, thank you so much for joining our conversation and our experiment, talking about experimenting that we do in these sessions. Instagram lives, we're getting to experiment with that too. So yeah, any last thoughts before we get to say goodbye to everyone until our next time?
Yeah, just thank you and keep up the good work, Lynn, and everybody that's out there doing this. And reach out if anybody has any questions along the way. We'd love to support you in your journey as well.
Yeah. Thanks, Michael. Thank you, Gateway Family Service of Illinois. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back next week with our new released video that's coming out Monday for the Seen Through Horses campaign called Finding Home. It's an animated story, and we're going to get to talk behind the scenes with Dr. Yana Marcus, who that story is based on. So join us Monday for LinkedIn and Friday for Instagram, and can't wait to see you guys and connect again. Thank you, everyone.